Hey, just doing some rocker moldings. These are the quarters, and there's a lot of work that goes into these to refurbish them. I wouldn't call them a restoration because they're not perfect, they're not concourse correct or anything. They're just spray painted with a rattle can to put on my car. But this Brite Work is awesome to work with, man. I love it. It's just so thin and so terribly hard to deal with. And then you got to clean up your clips that go behind the rivets. You got to have your right molding for the right piece, and then these lovely rubber ends that I've replaced. They're actually a 5mm diameter, so I've had to re-drill each hole out. And also these pieces here that go in to hold the piece on, I drilled right on through. And the reason I did that is because it grabbed more threads of that all thread that I used, and then I JB welded it in. And I've also added these little rubber washers that'll be helpful and water resistant, hopefully a little bit. But yeah, that's a couple of pieces I've got done for the put on the car. And oh, here we go. Here's one of the pieces that I just painted in rattle can, but a clear coat, auto clear coat on it, and then painted the back with the protector silver so that it won't rust. Well, it doesn't rust anyway, but just to keep the water off of it. And again, the same thing I did here. I've taken these pins that were missing, and I've re-drilled the holes. And again, I drilled them right on through, but you can still see a little tiny trace of that. But that gives me more threaded area to hold the supports here. And then this all thread is JB welded in as well after it's threaded in. And then I drilled this little hole here to put the cap, the little protector cap on. And I drilled these holes, one on each end, to put the protector cap on. So if you go in here with me, you'll see there's 2 rockers and 2 door trim right there that I painted, as well as a piece that I'm putting this fender on the fender. Now this is the passenger side, of course. And now these particular ones didn't have the hole in them for the mounting. I mean, they've got the 2 supports here on this side, but these have just like one. Yeah, there's 2, but they're behind the A and the 1, and that's normal. But what's weird is this other one out here, it's behind the A and 1 too. So I'm just wondering if this was a match set, because I had some that weren't. Yep. Okay, so this is a match set, and you can tell by the number is 69A, and this one is 69A. Oh, okay, they're both A's because they're both the driver's side. So I need a different side to do a complete set. I guess I did the wrong one, so that makes sense. And but anyway, you get the little clips, and once you get these in, you have to. I dissolve the rust in a rust solution, and then I just throw some paint on there to keep them a little bit better, and then clean up this trim, which has got to be the hardest thing in my life. It sounds like my polishing wheel is still running out here. Turn my little grinder into polishing wheel. And to get these cleaned up and almost perfect, but some of them are worse than others. And then when they go on, you line those little clips up, of course, and each one of the little rivets pops through there. And it's kind of hard to do with a camera, but you slide these down to where that lines up, and then you stick a rivet in it. And once that's in, and you can see the little hole. Then you can put the 3 rivets in, and then I go back and cut these, and then I stab them in there because they're too long as they are, so I just cut them in half, and then I push them in, and that gives you the protection there, and then I push them in here. That gives you the protection there, but each one I have to cut with the knife. And then what's cool is I put this little rubber washer on these two because I left them long enough to give it that extra space, and then I nut them up. The rubber washer should keep the nut from backing out if it's tight, and because it'll be up against pressure, and so I guess you could use some Loctite. But this is pretty cool to actually rebuild these, and I've got some spring clips for these. After I find the holes and I drill them in the car, I'll spring clip these letters on the M and the A and the C here, and then what I'm going to do is I'll probably drill these out and then create some type of fastener, or I'll probably just silver solder them or something so that they'll hold onto this metal. So I'll have to clean this up, strip the little paint areas off, and then basically I don't like the idea of gluing them in, so I'm going to try to silver solder them or aluminum solder them with some well, I can't now, but because they're painted, so I'm going to have to do probably some type of tiny fastener, or basically some type of glue that's going to epoxy, these so that they'll stay in. But I also thought about doing some thin strips of 2-sided molding tape, cutting them really fine and putting them inside here so that it doesn't cause it to stick out, so it has to be some really thin stuff. And then when you put this on there and stick it down and push it down and then pin it, it's going to stay there. So can't have this the ones that I do that are going to have new letters on them, they won't be a problem. They'll come with the spring clips, and also they'll have extra prongs there so that you can grab them and spring clip them. But these old ones, the ones that I got online or on eBay, I mean, this is the way they look right here, and in order to get them out, you got to grind off the back. So a lot of people say, well, just push them in the holes and glue them in. I'm hoping to figure out a way to make these at least fasten in there for security, but that's it. This is what I'm doing.